recorded.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the call, everybody. I thought I'd do something a little different, a little something from the past. All right, man. Just want to welcome everybody to the call. So glad you guys are here tonight. We are going to have a really great call tonight. So I'm really glad everybody's here. Want to welcome Alex. Welcome to the call tonight. Glad you're here. Glad you guys made it all the way here from Hawaii. Anyway, I didn't plan for what to do with this. Give me just a second. All right. Man, I am super excited. Welcome TikTok. Welcome Facebook. So glad you guys are here. Just to give the normal intro, my name is Tim Damron. I'm with the House of Yah Community Outreach. I'm the founder. I'm the pastor. And my wife is the other half. And she's also here as well. So I want to welcome all of you guys here to the call tonight. Again, the point of this call is to give good information to everybody out there. And I think that, you know, we're in a time period right now where we're all waking up. A lot of people are waking up to seeing things. A lot of people are seeing that, you know, bank loans are not what you thought they were. Your mortgages are not what you thought they were. You know, and you start digging into FDCPA law and things like that. You start figuring out, sorry, I'm trying to fix this, everybody. You start figuring out that things are just not what you thought they were. And when you start coming to that point in your life, I'm going to tell you something very special is happening inside of you. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Because what's happening is your creator is waking you up. Long, long ago, in a book, a dusty book for a lot of us, okay, sitting on the coffee table, if you look towards the back of that book, it says something about the end times. And it says in the end times, there'll be an explosion of knowledge. And I'm here to tell you, there's an explosion of knowledge out there, but there's also a balance that goes with that knowledge. And you've got a lot of people and you've got a lot of contentious spirits that are out there trying to stop that. They're trying to quiet that. They're telling you to stop being a free thinker. They're telling you no. This is how you need to think. This is how you need to spell. They're telling our children these things, you see. Why? Why are they telling us these things? Because they know something's happening. Why do we have all these people flooding the borders right now? Because they have no idea what they're getting into. Not a clue. Not a single one. You know what? If we were to put up and advertise, okay, how much pedophilia goes on in this filthy country, I guarantee you people would probably turn around and go back home. They'd probably go back the other way. They'd take their kids. Oh, no, never mind. We're in a land of Sodom and Gomorrah, right now. There is no other state, no other country that's telling their men to go chop their peepees off, except for this one. Do you realize that? Putin's not telling his guys to go out there and go find their inner selves. You know, they're not trying to redefine men and women out there in other countries. They're not doing it at all. As a matter of fact, the countries that are pushing back and saying, no, we're not down for this, our country is giving them crap about it. Our country is giving them sanctions for it. This is really happening. How do we fix that? How do we fix that? Step out. You know, today my family, today is Shabbat, by the way. We closed out Shabbat. And, you know, one of the scriptures that we spoke about today, we were reading in 2 Philippians today. And it's happening. And we were reading in 2 Philippians today. And while we were reading in 2 Philippians, we were seeing that Yahweh has a plan for every one of you. Okay. He didn't just make you to just show up and go throw water balloons at each other. That's not what he did. And he didn't make us to be selfish individuals. He didn't. But yet we are. He didn't make us. He told us that we were supposed to treat other people like our, you know, He told us we're supposed to be returning these favors, right? But instead, we have a bunch of selfish people here. We have a lot of selfish people here. And it's because they're missing it. They're missing it. And when you get so consumed with this kind of stupidity, it clouds your judgment for other things. So you don't make good decisions. Tonight, we're going to be talking about that. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something that happened with me 4 years ago. Yeah. You know, one of the things that I've noticed in my 51 years of being on the planet here is that if you stand up too tall, there's going to be somebody that's going to try to shut you down. There's going to be somebody that's going to quiet you. It's going to silence you. They're going to try because they've been doing this since we were kids in school. And what did they do? They would say, "Oh, that's the bad kid. He's right over here in the center." Do you remember when they put dunce caps on people? Can't do that anymore because we have too many feelings involved. But these days, because they'll get crushed these days. But back then, nobody was jumping out of buildings or anything like that. Nobody felt bullied for any of that, but they would do that and they would separate them from the fold and they would put them in front of the class. Can I tell you, not much has changed? Look at what they've done to President Trump. Look at what they've done to him. Look how much humiliation he's had to endure. Hold on, I'm trying to get on this other screen here. But I mean, really, when you think about it, think about all the humiliation. Think about how many times, proverbially, they have made him wear the dunce cap and tried to make him look foolish. And what is he doing? He's keeping his eyes focused on what he needs to keep focused on, and he's headed there. And Second Philippians, that's exactly what it says we're supposed to do. It says that we're supposed to keep our eyes focused on what Yahweh wants us to do, and everything else, don't worry, the grass will still turn green, the sun will still come up and down, and everything will be fine. But it's obedience. And 4 years ago, I'm going to share this with you guys. 4 years ago, I was speaking out against corruption and things that are going on. I guess nothing's changed. I'm still doing that. Let's see if I can find this. There it is. And what happens is when you go against the system, they will weaponize the system against you. And those of you guys that are not seeing this, it's probably because you're not on our Uber conference. So those of you guys in TikTok land, join us on Uber Conference. It's uberconference.com/freedom school. If you like looking at legal stuff, this is going to be your call. You guys out in Facebook land, do the same. If you have questions about what I'm talking about, feel free to ask. I'm going to be reading the screens at the bottom as best I can, and I will answer them as quickly and as promptly as I can. So feel free to ask all those questions. So here we go. Just for speaking up, just for making a stand, this little town decided to come after Tim Damron. Yes, they did. This is Houston County, Texas, and you guys can see this on the screen here. And they decided they were going to come up with this state's affidavit for good cause, and which, by the way, this actually got struck because the district attorney really screwed up and gave up too much information here. But it's okay because I reintroduced it, refiled it back on the record. So what you're going to see here is that basically I got caught with 2 CBD legally purchased cigarettes while I was in the police station retrieving property that was taken from me without a warrant. That's right. That's exactly what Jerry Kalin did and his little goofy friends over there in Houston County. Well, then, and actually, here's the arrest report. Here's the arrest affidavit. It's right here, and it says, I was caught with 2 joints, and I'm a bad person. Oh, and he says right here that it tested positive for synthetic cannabinoids, and man, I've got all kinds of drug problems over here, according to this guy. And this guy says that I showed up blasted, to get my stuff, because who would do that? Who would show up to a sheriff's office wasted to go pick up their stuff? Nobody. So this is just way off out in left field. And then they decided that these 2 joints in a box weighed between 2 and 4 grams. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that would be a pretty big joint. That would be like big, and it would not fit in a box, I assure you, because they don't make boxes that big. So this is what you call lying, misfeasance. And this bozo right here doesn't have a job anymore. That's right. And not only does he not have a job in law enforcement, I'm sorry, he doesn't have a job in law enforcement. I told it on myself. He lost his commission. He can't carry a gun. I think about all he can carry is a pack of gum right now. Well, anyway, him and his whole crew got really mad at Tim Dameron because they all got fired. Yep. Well, those idiots decided to call the FBI on me. And that was a stupid thing to do because I'm not doing anything wrong. But what happens is sometimes when you're standing in front of that Lysol can and you've got the lighter there, if the wind's blowing the wrong direction, you might lose some eyebrows. And that's exactly what happened. Praise be to Yahweh. And Jerry Kalin and all of his friends and the entire sheriff's department were terminated. All of them. That's right. And, they lost. And then they do have a couple of guys left, but they don't get to carry guns and they look like security guards. And the sheriff is still there, but he don't get to carry a gun either. But you guys can probably see that too. And I would love to take credit for doing that, but I didn't. That was him doing his own stuff and hurting himself. And these guys continue to do it. So because these guys were pissed off at me, they decided that they're going to be chasing after me with this for 4 years. That's right. Class A. Okay, it started as a felony, and now we're down to a Class A misdemeanor. And we've been riding that pony for the last 4 years. And I'm here to tell you, if you stand up, they will lie and they will weaponize these counties against you. They will absolutely do it. I'm here to show you it. It's happening. It's right here. And you'll see that they came up with this, that, and the other thing. You're also going to see that it went to the DPS crime lab in Tyler. Yeah. And you know what they said? Come pick up your stuff. We're not testing it. Do you know why? It's too little of amount. They said it weighed 0.48 grams. Oh, wait a minute. But Jerry Kalin said that it weighed between 2 and 4 grams under oath. That's why he doesn't have a job anymore. It's not magic, guys. When these people lie and you hold them accountable, they don't keep their jobs. And I'm going to show you some more people that are about to lose their jobs. Oh, yeah, this is going to be good. All right. So what these turkeys decided to do was they sent, because DPS wouldn't test it, they sent it out to these hoo-hoos. Well, and you're going to notice that this company right here is not state accredited, but and this is a fine line that they're doing right here. Look, you can see the date of the offense was 10/19/2019 for 2 little joints. I mean, you would think, think they caught Mandela or something. Look at this. Anyway, so if you look at this test, we went between 2 and 4 grams to 0.02 ounces, 0.48 grams. Now, I'm here to tell you, if you look at an average cigarette, okay, an average size cigarette, you can't roll 2 cigarettes from 0.48 grams. And if you do, it's going to look like small, like really small, like that joke in the Cheech and Chong movie where he's reaching around in his pocket and he says, I hope your is bigger than that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's going to be like a little, and that's not what it was. But anyway, you're going to see right here that it said that they finally received. Now, remember that Jerry said we had 2 joints, but after they got done smoking it all, I guess, I don't know what they did down there. But anyway, a plastic bag containing a cigarette-like object. We're scared to even call it a cigarette. And a plastic bag containing a cigarette wrapper and a loose green leafy plant material. Loose plant material was analyzed and reported. Well, what about the stuff that was actually, never mind. So anyway, you'll see right here, this is a conflict. And this probably is okay. But there's a little rule, you see. If you want to prosecute somebody under the dignity of the state, you got to use the state office. You got to use the state approved office. You can't send it down here to these guys. They just test pee-pee all day. They don't do that. So and I guess she realized this on October the 7th of 2023, almost 4 years later. Well, 4 years later, Yeah, exactly 4 years. 4 years and a few days later, they decided they were going to draft up this little affidavit. See, they will just continue to weaponize and collude. Look at this. And you're going to see down here that now we've got an affidavit and we've got what is it calling this? A result of chain of custody. Now, I'm going to tell you, once I saw this and my wonderful attorney saw this, we both looked at this and giggled. And here's why. This isn't a state office. This guy is impersonating a state officer right now with this. He's not authorized to represent the state on anything. He's not a public servant either. He was paid, excuse me, he was paid by Houston County, Texas to write this up. Now, if that's not manufacturing and paying for evidence, I don't know what is, but just trust me, they'll do it. And look, they're doing it. So you'll see right here. And look who the notary is on this. You know who this is? This is the court coordinator. So they all got together. You see how they will do this on you? Why? Because I told them the truth. Because I stood up to them and I told them, if you step outside of your oath, I'll come after you and I'll take your stuff. And what happened? All right. So anyway, here's another thing these dingholes submitted to. This is so funny. And watch, I'm going to tell you, don't worry, guys. We're going to get to a solution. All this is going to be good. All right. So you're going to see in this chain of custody here, he says that I have a yellowish joint and a white joint with leafy green material in here. Now, wait a minute. This is the same page. It's this page. Supposed to be. But we all know that this was done quite a bit time later, because look at this. The date on this was 11/16/2020. And they came up with this excuse me. They came up with this, don't want to be hateful, on October the 17th, 2023, 4 years later. What an impeccable memory we have here. Anyway, let's keep going. So you'll see here, now they're doing a chain of custody. When you do a chain of custody like this for a state agency and you're not a state agency, it's a third-degree felony in this state. That's a problem. And here's another thing that it does. Because this test concludes that nothing was tested positive for synthetic cannabinoids, as that's what happened here, that means my arrest was completely false. That's right. So with their own little test, they actually went and told it on themselves. We just have to look at things just the right way. You just have to pay attention, you see. And that's exactly what they did. This is why I tell you, when you walk in with Yahweh, when you walk in with absolute truth, these idiots will hang themselves. You hear me, Houston County? Idiots. Idiots. And I'm going to show you what's going to happen to your pensions here in a minute. All right. You guys ready? This is getting exciting, isn't it? So here's what I did. Now, obviously, I have an attorney. He's handling the case. He's just holding the football right now. Uh-oh. Yep. Live age restricted. Oh, my goodness. Well, guys out in TikTok land, it looks like the TikTok police is knocking on the door. Hello, TikTok. We don't care. We don't care. It's for entertainment purposes only. It can't hurt anybody's feelings now. Oh, and by the way, if anybody wants to share this, I figured out why they're hurting us on the sharing thing. So I want to let you know, under the fair use rule, you guys are all allowed, okay, to share this as much as you want. That's why that's the little word games they like to play. Anyway, so speaking of word games, I came up with a word game or two myself. So I decided to write two people. One of them being the Texas Rangers, and I'll tell you why. It says right here under Texas Government Code 411.0253, the Texas Rangers Division of the Department shall establish, and that means shall means it better happen. It's like Yahweh saying it himself. Shall establish and support a public integrity unit. Did you know that we have a public integrity unit here in Texas, you guys? We do. And here are the rules. The Texas right here. On receiving a formal or informal complaint regarding an offense against the public administration or a request for of a prosecution prosecuting attorney or law enforcement agency, the Public Integrity Unit may perform an initial investigation into whether or not a person has committed an offense under the public administration and various other things. And it basically just says that they're going to come and get you. So here is their letter to them, and here's Andrew T. Armstrong. That's the guy that's impersonating a state employee. And I'm going to show you the little letter I sent him. Now, when we operate in equity, and this is something that I teach in my UCC class, we always operate by witness. You see this up here at the top? I know it's a little faded, everybody, but it's a little That's right. We always get a round dater every time we mail stuff off. Every time. Because then we have a witness that they received it. And that's that. And that's how we move in equity, everybody. So let's get back to this. All right. So I'm going to just read this to you. Andrew T. Armstrong, PhD of Armstrong Forensic Laboratory Incorporated, and their address is 300 Lock-In Green Trail in Arlington, Texas, is not authorized to perform services for the Texas Department of Public Safety, Crime Lab, and they are not authorized to represent the state of Texas in place of the Texas Department of Public Safety, Crime Lab regarding specific matters pertaining to the dignity of the state of Texas. It is my belief that the intent demonstrated. Now, remember, demonstrate means demons are stating. Okay. So remember that public officials are the only ones that demonstrate. Okay. And when you say they demonstrated something, that means you're putting a value on what they're doing. That means there's equity in what they're doing. Okay. So when you tell the court, this is one of the things that people really struggle with. They don't understand what the words mean. So when you're telling people that they've demonstrated, that's what they're doing. You're calling them a demon and you're telling them what they're doing. Okay. So it is my belief that the intent demonstrated by Andrew T. Armstrong, PhD, he didn't learn anything in school, did he? Anyway, Armstrong Forensic Laboratory Incorporated is to impersonate a state of Texas crime lab or a state employee. And within this court of law, to induce Timothy Damron to submit to the authority of a document without the legal authority or any function of a public servant or a public office, namely Andrew T. Armstrong, PhD, sworn affidavit, result in chain of custody, affidavit of Andrew T. Armstrong, PhD, for the AFL report filed and notarized by and witnessed by Maria Lopez, also the Houston County Court Coordinator. The components of Texas Penal Code 3711 are as follows. A person commits an offense if that person impersonates a public servant with the intent to induce or submit to the person's pretended official authority or to rely on the person's pretended official facts, knowingly purports to exercise without any legal authority and functioning as a public servant or as a public office. And this offense is a third-degree felony. Well, there you go. So when you do these things and you're talking to these people, you make presentment. You tell them what they're doing. Here we go. The arresting officer, through his own admission, stated that under oath that I had 2 joints in its retail packaging weighing approximately between 2 and 4 grams of a controlled substance and having tested positive for synthetic cannabinoids. All of this occurred 4 years prior to the chain of custody affidavit submitted by Andrew T. Armstrong, PhD, without the authority of the state of Texas. Armstrong Forensic Labs Incorporated, located here, report indicates a conflicting weight of 0.02 ounces or 0.48 grams on 11/16/2020. The report does not indicate the presence of any synthetic cannabinoids, thus indicating that the Texas exclusionary rule of my 1019 arrest, was actually false and without any actual probable cause for any search or seizure of any personal property. The affiant affirms that on October the 17th, 2023, that the said plant material, now being 4 years old, has remained essentially in the same condition as when submitted to the laboratory. The chain of custody documentation provided by the laboratory indicates the presence of 2 joints, 1 yellow, 1 white, and with a green leafy substance. The conflicting 12/4/2020 Armstrong report states that a plastic bag with a cigarette-like object and a joint, a wrapper, a plant leafy green material, and this would indicate that the evidence has not remained essentially in the same condition as it was when it was submitted to the laboratory, because the arresting affidavit says otherwise. So here's another thing too. This is a good thing to look up, you guys. The Accardi doctrine. This Accardi doctrine basically states that all states have to follow their own regulations. They have to. They don't have a choice. They can't just sit here and go, nope, we don't want to obey that one. You can't be Catholic today. You can't be a Baptist today. You got to take the whole book or none of the book. You're either in it or you're a criminal. Do you see the difference? And I'm going to tell you, this happens every single day in America. People don't know how to speak. People don't know how to make a record. So anyway, I wrote this little thing up, and here's the conclusion. I have demonstrated that there is a clear presence of prosecutorial fraud, malfeasance, abuse of process, and deliberate acts of misfeasance concerning within this state of Texas public office in Houston County, Texas. As such, all your license numbers and certifications, namely your employer certifications and licenses to act on the behalf of or in place of the Texas Department of Public Safety's crime lab in a court proceeding not involve the defendant on probation or supervised release. Your information is hereby requested for production within 10 days of this date and pursuant to the fee schedule attached, always contracting, filed with this record on cause number blah, blah, blah. You may be subject to invoicing in the event that you choose to ignore my presentment. I will be filing a complaint with if you choose to ignore my presentment, I will be filing a complaint with TDLR, which is Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, requesting that all licenses held be suspended and set aside for administrative remedies owed to the claimant. Thank you in advance for your immediate consideration on the matters presented for this claim. Now, I sent that to the CEO of the company. I'm not sending it to Dr. Ding Dong. He's going to throw it in the trash. I'm not stupid. Start fires. When they start doing stuff like this, send it to his boss. Now, the funny thing is, when I went and I looked up this company and they showed like a contact us, which is like all the important people, guess who wasn't on that list? This doctor. So that tells me this guy's going to get fired. And then they won't have a witness, will they? Well, I encourage you to always cover your bets even further than that. So in addition to that letter, I also sent another letter to the Texas Rangers, because obviously, according to their rules, it says if we file a complaint, they're supposed to investigate it. There's your complaint. So basically sent in the same thing, sent that to them, and it worked out beautifully. They actually got everything today. They received everything today. So I'm going to get out of this real quick. And this is how you take care of these guys. You have to understand that your fight with these people is never through the front door. The biggest lie that they ever told us was that you could walk through these doors and get justice. But they really didn't lie to us. They just misrepresented it. Because here's what they really meant. If you come through this door, you're going to see just us. Just us guys over here. Not justice. No. That's in a history book somewhere. There's no justice in here. But if you want to see just us, we're right here. And that's exactly what they mean. I'm going to tell you that right now. These courts, all of them, they all move in equity. If you learn how to move in equity, you see what I just did? I didn't file anything in court. Don't need to. You know why? Because I know that they're liars. I know that they've already lied. We know that they're all trying to play this cover my butt thing going on. That's what they're doing. So what do? Readjust. And you pray. And you pray a lot. And you know what? Yahweh knows everything. So if you lean on his understanding, chances are you're going to get the answer. because that's how I got the answer. I'm going to tell you this stuff works. I got to tell you, this world is like one big penitentiary yard. I'm serious. Even if you've never seen a penitentiary yard, go watch some penitentiary movies. It's the same thing. It's just smaller. They're just more condensed. And in the penitentiary, they always pressure these guys. You know, when you watch these shows, to click up. You got to click up. Hey, you got to get with the clicker. Hey, you know, they do. No offense to anybody out there. And they do. You got to get with the click, because if you don't, and something breaks off, somebody better have your back. Otherwise, you might have something in your back. That's no good. It's survival. Can I tell you, this world is no different. Just a bigger yard. Just a bigger place. A bigger place to get killed. A bigger place to be exposed. And what are they doing to us every day? How many times a day do you sign your name? How many times a day do you put in your PIN number? They're constantly pulling you into commerce. They're constantly taking you from the comfort of your car, your home, and pulling you into commerce when they're pulling you over. You see, writing you tickets. Pulling you into commerce because something could have happened. Look at the emergency light. Something could have happened. And unless you say something, and unless you can articulate yourself properly, you're going to get lost in the weeds. Do you see that happening in YouTube? Look at these guys that all make a stand. I'm making a stand. We have a right to travel and this and that. They're right. But there's rules too. And there's consideration. But that consideration works both ways. So here's what I encourage you to do. And this is what I do. Learn both sides of the board. If you know everything they're supposed to do, then it evens the load on what you're supposed to do. Huh? If you know what everybody else's job is, then your job is much more informed because you understand everything that's going on. That's what I'm trying to say. So one of the biggest problems that we have is, like I said, they're always asking us to come into commerce, right? You want to go buy a car, you got to go do some commerce, right? You want to go get a phone with Verizon, you got to go do some commerce, right? But you're doing commerce how? From your person. That's not the right vehicle. That vehicle right there is like sending you on the freeway with a pair of flip-flops and a slip and slide on a rainy day. I made that up. But seriously, it's true. We're not prepared. This is why when we walk into these courtrooms, they destroy us. This is why 17 years ago, my children were taken from me for no reason at all. No incidents, no DWIs, no stuff going on at the house. Just, you suck, Tim Damron. Yeah. And when you have this mark and you have the anointing of Yahweh on you, that's what I've learned to expect this. I've learned to expect this in life. But one of the things, when I went through that trial and I lost my kids, it did. I haven't seen them. I have no relationship with them at all. I haven't seen them in 18 years. And they're adults now. They could reach out anytime they want to. But their heads are so, they'll never see the light. There's an ambition out there that wants to do that. There's an ambition. There's a spirit out there that wants to, pretty much a succubus, that wants to come out there and it wants to consume you people. It wants to consume every person that's waking up because they want it to stop. They don't want judgment, but it's coming. And Yeshua is coming. Not Jesus, Yeshua. He's coming. And he'll be on a white horse. And everybody's going to get this name correction right. And it's going to be too late. But that's another story. But the reason that I teach this class, I have a class coming up this weekend on the 26th and 27th. And it's a UCC and trust class. And what it does, it allows you to control and manage your life. Right now, a lot of us are just dog paddling around in the kiddie pool still, just trying to make it all work because they keep just cutting us off from the bottom, and they keep, more taxes, or they took more out this time, or it's something. How do we overcome that? How do we fix that? I'm going to tell you this. Most of what you experience in commerce, it's spiritual, man. Do you know why it's so spiritual? Because these people know exactly how vulnerable you are. You fill out an application. You told them everything about you. And then you promised it was all true. You don't think they're not going to use that to hurt you? You don't think they're not going to use that to keep you in one spot? To make sure that you stay in that neighborhood? Don't you move on up. There'll be no Jefferson song singing here. We're not going to be doing that. This is because they've been able to enslave the straw man. Because they've built up all of this commerce around the straw man, and then they've cut all the limits of the straw man. And here's what they've taught us how to do. Here was our remedy, everybody. You ready? Oh, because they can't just take everything from us. That's right. So you know what they did to make it look good on paper? Let's teach everybody how to fill out applications. The Rockefellers said, whoa, 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 application. Screw the Fourth Amendment. Yeah. Do you realize that every application you fill out is a violation of your Fourth Amendment? And you're giving it up every single time. But we really don't have much choice now, do we? Yeah, well, you do. We can operate properly. Let me ask you a question, all of you, and ask yourselves this question. Do you remember the young lady or young man that checked you out at the grocery store last? Do you remember his name? Ever remember anybody's name that ever checked you out? Nope. Mm-mm. Because even though they were right there in front of you, those people were operating in the private. And the performance is demonstrated by that very question I just asked you. So if you're managing your trust, and that's what you're doing, and that's all you're doing, then you're busy. You're at work. You're just like the checker at Walmart that's checking out groceries from 8 to 5. What I've learned is I've learned to put all of this into a trust, and you create a vehicle. And this vehicle is a very tight vehicle. We're going to be talking about the vulnerability aspects of it. What happens if you go through a divorce? What happens with property and property taxes? What happens with everything else? Well, you have to start somewhere. And you have to start with a trust. And you have to start with the right vehicle. Huh? Right? I mean, would you go to the tractor pools with your Nissan? No, I don't think so. I wouldn't. I go to the tractor pool with a tractor, right vehicle. We got to step out to this commerce with the right vehicle. And then when we learn how to do that, that's when all this 1099 stuff will start making sense. These people that are teaching you this stuff and talking about 1099s, they're just seeing people like me doing things, but they don't know what I did before. They don't know what I did for the preparation. They don't know how I set this thing up. This weekend, I'm going to be showing you how to do that. This weekend, I'm going to show you how to separate yourselves. And you can give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Give all glory and give everything else to Yahweh. All of it to Yahweh. That's what Yeshua told him to do, right? He talked about taxes. You guys trying to get out of paying taxes? Open your Bibles. What did Yeshua say about taxes? He said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's and give unto Yahweh what is Yahweh's. He didn't say go stick your head in the ground and say, I'm going to renegotiate my contract. He said to be compliant. He said to be private. He said to operate and trust him. See, what is a trust? A trust is an agreement where people are operating, but nobody's really privy to that agreement. Like nobody knows what the agreement is. We just see Tim Damron running around, driving people around. What is he doing? I don't know. Just like the person checking out your groceries. What is she doing? We don't know. She's just checking out groceries. This is where we need to be. Because see, if we're not encumbered on the other side, then Yahweh's got a shot. Yahweh's always got a shot to work with you, you know? But you give him that ability. You give him that time. And I think that's what he was trying to say in Matthew when he was talking about that. He was saying that there has to be a season for everything. There has to be things done in balance. We're in big trouble right now in America. We got a lot of things that are up in the air. We're on the verge of World War III. Well, actually, I think we're already in it. The United States is on the verge of a civil war. What did I say earlier today about Philippians? We got to stay focused on what he needs us to do. If we stay focused and we just watch and we take these encumbrances and we take them off of us and we just watch and we start walking according to what Yahweh wants, he will fulfill the desires of your heart. I learned all of this stuff because I've been through a lot of hell. I'm not going to lie. I've been through a lot of fire. I'm still here and I'm still winning. All of you guys, there's no limits on what you can do with Yahweh. But here's where your limits begin. When somebody says that they're proudful, I said this last week. You remember the Native Americans that used to run this place? Used to be in charge of everything around here. We got buffaloes over here. We got this over here. Had everything ready. Huh? You remember that? Well, those were proud people. And they'll always tell you that. We were a proud people. Well, where are they now? Not so proud anymore. Well, they're still proud, but they're not doing so good. And they got completely bamboozled. They got completely robbed. You know why? Because they weren't watching the whole game. And a lot of us out there in America, we're not watching the whole game. We're just filling out applications. And if you don't believe me, test yourself. Just throw an application into some stuff that you're doing, and I'll bet you'll just head right to it and start filling it right out. I'm telling you, man, it's what they did to us. But you can fix that. You can overcome that. But you've got to learn to operate severally. We've got to stop using this legal fiction. I love it when people walk into courtrooms and they say, you know, I'm challenging the jurisdiction of this court because I'm the living person. Have you seen that guy? The guy that's on there with the hat and everything. I'm the living person and only animals beg. Bah. You heard that guy? Okay, well, watch the rest of that video and do some research on that thing. I'm going to tell you that video is very old. That video came out back when I woke up, back in 2015. And that guy went to prison. He's gone. Okay? Grandstanding in court doesn't do anything for you. That's that pride element. And it equals failure. Not sometimes, not half the time, every time. Look, you can Google it. Alex can Google it, I'm sure. Look at how many UFC fighters sit over there and talk all that trash, and then they go in the ring and they get their bell rung in like 2 seconds and they're done and they're out of there. Do you know what made them lose? Their mouth. They literally spoke a curse on what they were doing. You know, my friend John has been looking up a lot of words lately and learning what they mean. Dang. Like the word dude. Go look that up. It's not what you think it is. We shouldn't use that word. Oh, shame on me. I'm serious. And if those of you guys that know Derek Phillips, check him out on my page. He's on my page. He's always on my page. I post his stuff all the time. All that stuff going on. Who's looking up? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Idiot is another one of those words. I thought Shelly was calling me an idiot. She's like, look up idiot. I was like, I'm looking up. Where's the idiot? I'm sorry. Yeah, seriously. Start looking up these words. And you're going to figure out that English is nothing but a bunch of spells and cursing. Pretty much. Pretty much. So we got to learn to speak. And more importantly, we got to learn we got to learn to listen. And if you want to learn to listen, you got to be heard. And if we're not moving in equity out there, we're not going to be heard. They're just going to shift you to the 1-800 I'm pissed off number. Yeah. That's totally a gig. They don't really do anything there. They just listen to people's feelings. That's their job, is to sit there and be yelled at all day. Really. Can you imagine filling out for that job? So how good are you being yelled at all day? Oh, I'm pretty good at it, Bob. Okay. Could you do it from 8 to 5 today? Oh, yeah. They could call me every book in the word in the book. It's okay. Yeah. Can you imagine that? That's kind of like one of those jobs like with TSA, with those little crotch grabbers at TSA. I can't stand those guys. Every time I look at them, it's like they're looking at you like, oh, I'm going to touch them. I'm like, no, go away. It's true. It's true. I think it takes a certain kind of person. Don't want to say anything hateful, but it takes a certain kind of person to go work for TSA and put your hand all over people's body parts like that all day long and have like, how was your day? Oh, I looked at a lot of butts today, I don't know. But I got to tell you guys, this stuff that we're seeing in this country is changing. Okay. And it's going to change the culture of this country. Did you see all the cars get towed in New York this week? For no license plates, no insurance, and no registration. And all these people flew out of their tents and said, right to travel. It didn't work. It didn't work. They all got towed out. And we're having a hard time. We're struggling in America. We're struggling because truth is so far away, but yet it's right in front of us. It really is. It's right here in front of us, and we're missing it. This is why we're losing. Those of us that are, looking at Donald Trump to come save the world, he's not going to save the world, man. If you want better people in office, we got to do it better. We got to do it better. If you don't want liars on your school board, stop lying to your kids. You hear me? Not even the little white ones. If you want people to stop lying at you in your office, stop lying to your spouse. If you want people to be honest with you, be honest with everyone else. This is what we're missing in America. This place has turned into Sodom and Gomorrah. It really has. We got all kinds of stuff and everything's legal now, But our minds are under arrest. Can I tell you, a salary these days in America is a bribe. Do you hear me? I'm going to say that one more time. A salary is a bribe. It's a bribe to make you forget your dreams. Do you hear me? It's a bribe to make you put aside what you used to call childish things so that you could go forward into what they want you to do. Think about that. Think about that. We can do things individually, but we've got to learn to operate. We've got to learn to operate within this appropriate persona. We've got to learn to stay out of these other places. And the way to stay out of those places is to answer them. Just exactly what I did today. Just exactly what I showed you today. Let me tell you something. You cannot convince a liar that he has lied. You cannot. And these people that think that they're going to come in there and quote the perfect law, and all the courts are going to say, oh, you know what? Hey, Johnny, all right, he quoted the right law. All right, everybody straighten up now. We got to do the right thing now. That will never happen. None of these people are going to find Jesus with your help. None of them. Because they're not interested in it. They're interested in operating in a hierarchy over the public. They're interested in power. How do you beat that? Well, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can jump into their matrix and you can lose, or you can step out here into this private matrix and give Yahweh all the glory. And you can go home every day with a clean conscience that you've been transparent and that you've done the right thing. You didn't have to lie to do your job. Managing a trust. That's what it's all about. And I encourage you guys, if you have questions about this, go to my webpage, schedule an interview with me. If you have problems going on and you need someone to talk to, I'm happy to hear you. Matter of fact, I did some counseling sessions today after Shabbat, or just after Shabbat, right before the call. I had two counseling sessions today, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy, and we're here for the public. and we're happy to serve the public. And we really want to thank you guys, all of you, for your support, for what you do for us, for the House of Yah Community Outreach. We appreciate it. We're working right now on a facility so that we can have a place for our vets. It's really coming into fruition right now. And I've had the privilege of really meeting up with some really great folks. You know, special call out to the Phillips brothers out there. Those guys are great. You know, Christine has just been a wonderful asset to the group as well. Alex and everybody else has been a wonderful asset to the group as well. And we so appreciate you guys and your support. We appreciate everything. And this week's class is definitely a performance class. This is a class where it is a fundraiser for us, okay? And we definitely need it, but we're going to give you something to leave with too. If you want to be in a position where you never have to go to probate, if you're incapacitated for any reason, your people can just step in legally, do whatever they need to do, this might be something for you. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the call. I hope that all of you guys have a wonderful night tonight. I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank everybody out in TikTok land and Facebook land as well. I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed rest of your week. If we can answer any questions, if we can do anything for you guys, if you need help, anything, we cannot give legal advice. However, I can refer you to some folks that can give you phenomenal legal advice. If you need some help and you've got stuff going on, we've got just some great folks that are here on the team with us that can help you, and they're actually qualified to do this. If you guys need tax assistance and you need help with taxes, schedule an appointment with my wife. She's got some slots open this week. Get those taxes in. Remember, those of you guys that are issuing 1099s, you got to do it by the end of this month. So we got a few more days left. Get with Jess. She can get those things sent out for you electronically. Boom, boom. Get them done quick. And it's like $15. It's really cheap. So schedule an appointment with her. She'd be happy to help you guys. And I just want to thank again all of you guys here for being on the call tonight. Thanks for listening to the guitar work and everything tonight. And I hope you guys have a really wonderful evening. Thanks for being here. Be blessed, everyone.